Welcome, LA Progressive Community. This is another installation of Dick and Sharon. And today we're going to be talking about why we started the LA Progressive, when we started it, and why we started it.
Right. So 15 years ago, we launched LA Progressive at the time when we both had difficult jobs or time-consuming jobs, and we did a lot of the work at the beginning in our pajamas before we went to work.
Right. So actually, it was in 2008. And it was during the primary when Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton were competing to be the Democratic nominee for president for the 2008 presidential election. And initially, Dick and I hadn't actually sat down and said, okay, let's start the LA Progressive. Initially, what we were doing is we were the newsletter editors for the Northeast Democratic Dem Club in Northeast Los Angeles, and we were doing a lot of the writing for the articles. And go ahead.
Well, yeah. So I think LA Progressive came together with several threads. Certainly, we found together. We were doing an old-fashioned print newsletter. I was a magazine editor at the time. I had access to software and printers, and we did a really nice prize-winning print newsletter. But Sharon found a free website given by the California Democratic Council and spent lots of hours learning how to do very basic website work.
Right. So I didn't know anything at the time in 2008. I'd heard of HTML, didn't know anything about HTML, then got access to this free code, which was a basic structure for a very basic website. And then I went out and bought Website for Dummies and The Idiot's Guide to HTML or something like that. And I just started combing through the pages of both of those books. And essentially, the LA Progressive was born.
Right. So we weren't completely naive about websites. Through our work, we both used lots of websites and were actually part of supervising the creation of them. But we hadn't done the underneath the hood work. I'll also say that I was a magazine editor, and I a long time dreamed of having my own publication. My real dream was to have a weekly neighborhood newspaper like the Easy Reader down in the South Bay, which was kind of impractical.
Yeah, it was impractical, but Dick and I were kind of newly married. We didn't have any children together. And so the LA Progressive actually became our child. And we each had our own objectives of wanting to start the LA Progressive. Dick talks a little bit about him already being a magazine editor and always having a dream of having sort of a local hard copy, small local newspaper. My objective was to educate my community about politics, particularly about politics as it related to the racial divisions in our community. I felt back then, still feel now, that until we come together across all different ethnicities, races, all of the different demographics that make up what we call ourselves a civil society. We have so much that divides us, but there's much, much more that should unite us. And until we are united, I don't think that we're going to ever be able to achieve a lot of the progressive goals that we have as a nation, goals that have been achieved by other countries like universal health care or like not saddling students with oppressive debt. So my goal was to educate our communities about the underworkings of politics in Los Angeles and in the country.
So we weren't necessarily all that young when we got together, but we made the decision to kind of let go of some of our old ties, our old connections, our old groups, and do things together. That's how we joined the Northeast Democrat together. And what we found out of doing that newsletter, the most important thing I think we found is how much we enjoyed working together. We kind of have complementary skills. We're kind of different personalities. I'm very impulsive. I got to be moving all the time. And she likes to give things deep thought and do kind of research, which is kind of a nice balance. And we were casting about for something to do together. She actually had an idea that I've ridiculed all these years, but it was actually kind of a good idea. It was a full-service laundromat daycare for working women. And it wasn't a bad idea. to me, it struck me, I had this job that was working 50 hours a week and 15 hours of driving. It sounded like another job.
Right. And so we didn't do it. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about that because we
it was a good idea.
Keep these discussions interesting to our readers. So what happened with the LA Progressive is we started the LA Progressive as a newsletter and never had any great expectations in terms of traffic. The first time that we were doing a newsletter for the Northeast Dems, this is before the LA Progressive was the official LA Progressive. It was the Northeast Democratic newsletter. And one month we had a total of 1,000 viewers, and we just could not
we thought that was the
that was
coolest
the bee's
thing.
knees.
Yeah, that was the bee's knees. And I have said, but I don't know that I truly believed it. I thought what we were doing was kind of one of those local weeklies for the Highland Park, Mount Washington area, and that's what we
love telling people where we live.
And that's what we would serve with our website, which lasted, I would say, probably an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, because once it's on the World Wide Web, anybody can read it. And
right.
We have this thing called Google Analytics, and Google Analytics shares reports with us. It tells us where people are tapping into the LA Progressive. Where are they coming from? Are they in London? Are they in New York? Are they in Timbuktu? And it turns out that over the past 15 years, there isn't a place on earth where there are human beings where we have not had an LA Progressive reader, which still shocks the heck out of us.
So she did a lot of the under the hood work, the investigation of how to make the site actually work and get it going. And I used some of my magazine experience to make connections to potential authors. And we started bringing in authors who appreciated a good-looking outlet for their material, and we were off to the races.
Now, one thing I insisted is that every single newsletter must have at least one female writer, and we must be diverse. We try in every single episode, in every single edition, to have a writer of color and a female writer. And that is our goal always. So I'm always reaching out. But what I've learned is that generally retired white men seem to have more discretionary time than other demographics in this country. I wonder why that is.
Right. We even work on having diversity here at home, which we've done pretty well. Yeah, and through those connections, we still have connections with some of the writers that we recruited 15 years ago, and now we've gotten more of a name, and now people are coming to us, and we did decide. I guess I really pushed to have a regular electronic newsletter, which we've had all these years. I think initially it was weekly, and then bi-weekly, and now it's daily.
Yeah, it's daily, and so Dick did push for the newsletter, and the thing that I push for is something that's called search engine optimization. And for you guys that don't know what SEO is, it's search engine optimization. I'm not going to bore you into the details except to say that understanding how the Google bots read the LA Progressive website helps us to turn up in a Google ranking and on first page, and that's what I strive to do. But most people that don't have a technical background, they don't know about that, and they don't care about that. But it's hard work.
So we really did it to serve the community, to educate, particularly around racism issues. But it's been amazing how much attention it's brought to the two of us. Just a couple years into it, we attended a book reading by one of the authors we had recruited, Randy Shaw from the Bay Area at UCLA, and it was a classroom at UCLA. And we walked in late, and the class turned around and said, "It's Dick and Sharon."
Yeah, so that always surprises us when people know who we are, because we actually work really from home, and we don't have much of an opportunity to interface with people outside of our home. When we walk out and we are confronted by readers, it's always a very pleasant surprise.
It's true that we work at home, but we're also not really glory hounds. Really, and I make that as a joke, but the truth is, it's really about the work for us and the service we do to the community. It is a way, at this point in our life, that we can be really full-time activists in a way that it would be hard to be if we had to go down and get arrested in front of City Hall. I don't want to go to jail at 75.
Right. So we do things like when Occupy was here, Occupy LA, we went down to the Occupy encampment every single day. We never slept down there, but we took the train. We went down to the Occupy all the time, and we do a lot of things with the community. We see ourselves as an activist, production, but we also are unapologetically advocates for progressive positions. So we don't necessarily support this notion that it is possible to be purely objective. I think it's impossible for these outlets that call themselves objective reporting. I don't think it's possible for human beings to be objective. I think it's very important that you state what your position is and from which perspective are you writing.
At the same time, standing up for what you're saying and doing the best you can to tell the truth with it, not to spread lies. Mentioning Occupy brings me in mind when we were on the plaza in front of the police department, when that lieutenant came up and in his uniform and stood nose to nose with me, just daring me to make a move. You remember that?
Yeah.
He did that for a long time. I was like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? He wanted to arrest me.
Right. And well, I didn't get worried. Were you worried?
No, I could have stood there forever, which he discovered. I was tired of walking, so standing there was okay, but I don't know. We've had a lot, but our association with LA Progressive has given us a huge reach of friendships and colleagueships and all kinds of wonderful adventures. It's been a wonderful trip.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, if you just stumbled upon this recording, the LA Progressive, it's laprogressive.com. It is a digital, daily political publication. On average, we publish how many articles per day, Dick?
8 to 12.
8 to 12 per day. 99.9% of those are written by other people, but occasionally, maybe once a month or more often than that, a piece will be written by Dick or I. And we're very proud of what has come of these 15 years. In 15 years, we have published, edited, and helped write over 30,000 articles.
Right. So we have either direct relationships with these authors and we get their permission, or we have direct relationships with their publications. And by and large, they're quite pleased to be on our attractive site with Sharon doing all this work with the SEO to get it out in front of people.
Yeah, and recently we did partner with another organization. I think it's probably important to point out that we are using a server that is owned by Roundtable. So we're a Roundtable partner. And this is an early relationship. So far, it's working out good. It could be better. And so we're looking forward to a much more valuable outcomes in the next 6 months with Roundtable.
Right. The personal relationships with the Roundtable people has been top notch. We had thought that it would get more reach quicker. Maybe that'll happen next year.
Yeah, and we thought so because that's what we were told to expect.
But it's true.
but that has yet to be manifest into reality. So we're waiting on bated breath. Well, I think that's enough for this installment of the LA Progressive. Next time we'll talk to you about the actual content of the LA Progressive and some pieces that we're particularly proud of.
Absolutely. And we'll also occasionally, as we've done in the past, interview interesting people and some of our authors.
All right. Thanks,
Thank
LA
you,
Progressive community. Thank you, sweetheart. Till next time. Bye-bye.